What it is, what it ain't, I'm gonna let you know what go about that. But first, y'all need to hit that post notification bell button so you'll always be in the loop every time I drop a new video. And make sure you go check out some of my affiliate links down below. If you never watched one of my videos before, make sure you go watch them and go look at them and like, share, and comment on them. And hit my cash app too while you at it. Mag Promo, MAGPROMO. And send your boy at least $1, man. We finna talk about how niggas used to rob tourists with their maps on the dashboard. But first you need to get your popcorn and sit back and listen to the story, man. And make sure you handle all the things I said, man. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, man, and turn on that post notification bell button before I start, man. So yeah, everything done and out the way, let's go. Yeah, man, back in the days, man, in the early 90s, tourists used to come into Florida with their maps on the dashboard, and jack boys from all over would see them and stake out in rich areas, and you know what I mean, they would jack all the tourists, you know what I mean, and then all the bad laws start coming in early on, like early 93, 94, to prevent tourists from getting robbed anymore. And, you know, the crime started being more stiffer punishments, you know, like 10, 20 life. And if you rob somebody, you get 15. Because back in the days, you used to do like 65%. So, and they used to give you CRD, which means like you can go to jail with 25 years and you know you'll be home in like 2, 3 years because you get 65% and they use CRD time off every time you in there, every day. So you know what I mean? That's how Florida laws was, and then they changed it to 85%. So if you get 15 years, you would have to do 13. You know, you wouldn't get out early. You know, that's why all the crime stopped in Florida. You know what I mean? Because Florida used to be the murder capital and everything in the 80s and stuff. But that's another story, man. You know what I mean? Back in the days, man, tourists used to come down into Florida, like I said, and they would come to places like Palm Beach, Jupiter, Miami, Naples, you know what I mean, Punta Gorda, and it'd be jack boys. And all they would do is steal a car. Like they would steal cars like Dodges, some type of splat. And what they would do is they would stake out. They'd ride around and find them a lick, and they'll go snatch purses and stuff like that. Like when the old lady getting out the car, they would just jump out. There'd be 4 niggas in the car, and they'll snatch the book, and they'll go running. But then, you know, they started, you know, beefing up the funk a little bit and started toting pistols. Because, you know, back then, how they got all their guns, all the gangs and the posses, they would, you know, break in houses and they would steal guns out their houses. So a couple niggas had stolen guns, and then, you know, they'll take the serial numbers off and stuff so they won't get caught. And, you know, nigga would go pull capers with guns. And it was this one particular female, she caught the most time out of everybody. She was a girl. You can go look her up. She was on this documentary too. A couple times she been on TV on like Almost Got Away with It, when, you know, she was in a U-Haul. Her and her team, they was from Miami, they was in a U-Haul, and they was staked out in front of the airport. And they seen some tourists, you know, getting off the plane, going to their rental car. And you know what I mean? They followed the people. And when they got on the highway, they railed up on them and bumped their car. So the people stopped and got the car like, oh, they hit me, what we gonna do next? And that's when they jumped out with the guns and they started robbing. But they fucked around and killed the people. Like they shot a shot, you know what I mean? And they killed somebody. And they got the money, whatever, and they got away. So, you know what I mean? this was the first case where it was high profile. So now, cocaine cowboy shit was, they was taking down everybody with the cocaine and shit at the time. You know what I mean? And, I think it was I think it was Bush. Could have been Bush was the president, George Bush. And, he wanted to stop all that crime out here in Florida and stuff like that. And what ended up happening was the people that killed the tourists, they went and parked the U-Haul in the apartment complex where they stayed at. Well, one of them stayed at, and they, left it there. And like some snitch, some girl seen the van parked there and seen who was driving it a couple of days earlier, the U-Haul. They called it in because the van was all over the news and there was like a reward was out for it. And the girl was like, man, I know that van. I know that's what they do. And then she turned the van in. And then that's when the police found the van, discovered the van. And, they was on their trail ever since. So, all the people got caught except the girl. And she ran for a long time. Then they finally caught her. But they gave her, I think, a life sentence, man, for that murder. And she been there ever since, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how it was back in the days. Like, tourists used to get robbed. You didn't have to just be white. You could have been black if you had a map on your dashboard and you didn't know where you was going. And you know what I mean? You had to pull over or you would stop somewhere. A nigga just rush your car, nigga, and just make you give up everything because they know you got money and credit cards and shit on you and shit. So they'll steal everything, man. So people start putting their maps on the dashboard when they come to Florida, you feel me? And, the laws had changed and made it so strict that, niggas that was snatching books and all that was not going to juvenile hall no more. You was going to prison and you was going to do like 15 years and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because motherfuckers was snatching books from 80-year-old ladies coming up out of Publix and Albertsons and shit. Lady falling all on the ground and shit. You know what I mean? It was bad back then. And, nigga jump in the box Chevy and slide off. And they take turns doing it. Like JT Money used to talk about jacking tourists. You know what I mean? Like a lot of niggas was doing that back then. He just made it known to the public, like, yeah, that's what JT Money means. Jacking tourists for all their money, pulling the capers. You know what I mean? We ain't gotta sell no dope. We can go rob. You know what I mean? We can go sit outside the bank and wait till people go in the ATM, go up to the ATM and we go rob them. You know what I mean? We go hang out in front of the mall and go snatch a couple books, go ride by, you know what I'm saying, by the beach or something, go snatch a couple books. That's how it was, man. Till niggas start getting caught, man, and niggas start snitching and niggas start getting a whole bunch of time, boatload of time, man. And that's why a lot of them white areas, they don't trust black people coming through there because niggas is coming through that bitch stealing and shit because niggas made bad examples early on from the 80s and the early 90s. Niggas wasn't playing with them crackers, straight giving them hell. Peace of mind.